So coming out of the holidays where we see a lot of our friends and family that maybe we don't see day to day, or maybe their traditions or routines that are more ceremonial or I think there's a lot of nostalgia or muscle memory involved in like certain foods that we bake and the certain ways that we light candles or gather around trees or open gifts or move into the space of a short day and a dark night. Like everything in the holiday in a family system or a community system can feel very traditional, can feel very ritualistic or expected, obligatory sometimes in a contracted way. It can feel like it's, I have to do this, I have to go there, I have to be with family, friends, partner, kids, who knows. And that stirs up, well, it stirs up a lot of stuff, a lot of juicy conditioning of the roles that we're supposed to play in those traditional, familiar places that in the awakening process, like nothing's really familiar. I mean, it can be ordinary, it can be unexciting, it can be comfortable, like to the body. The body can kind of roll into like, oh, I'm used to walking up this gradual slope, or oh, I'm used to taking a number of steps at a time, and that's comfortable for the baseline that this body is in, but nothing is ever really familiar in a way that conditioning thinks things are familiar. And so it can bring up a lot of old pain that used to feel comfortable because we were used to it. Used to feel like, oh, this is just me. The um, the black sheep, or the comedic one, or the generous one, or the nice one, or the pouty one, or the rebellious one, or the leader, or the follower, or the loud one, the good one, the bad one, like whatever. It used to just feel like me. It used to feel comfortable. But now that may be shifting, it can be a lot more uncomfortable to realize what was true then, but awareness wasn't working itself through it. Like there was no thread that had loosened around the conditioning at a certain point. It was just um, this kind of tumbling contraction, if that metaphor even makes sense. So I see a lot around the holidays is failure to meet those old roles that we were supposed to meet, that we never really succeeded, but now it's so much more clear. And it can be kind of sad because we, regardless of our relationship to the holidays or to whatever holiday you may or may not celebrate, Christmas, solstice, Hanukkah, New Year's, like whatever non-holiday, and bear with me a little bit because I'm coming out of some sort of toddler-induced cold, and so the system is a little bit slower. Doesn't matter what the holiday is or what our relationship to it is. It might be a really beautiful relationship to the holiday. It might feel like it, even in a non-dual, like spiritual sense, it feels, oh, this is a space and opportunity to be, to recognize life's wholeness, to slow down, to sense some devotion, some connection, some grace, even on the darkest night. That might be an experience. Many people have very different experiences, like the holiday as kind of a homecoming to a lot of suffering, because that might be the foreground for all of the conditioned false sense of what this life was supposed to be, the setup for failure, because you could never be that identity that you were taught you were, and you tried so hard, and you collectively in your system of your environment, your family, your community, like you all tried so hard to learn and to be taught and to achieve and to be, and there was maybe some sense of success because you were able to belong and you were able to succeed in a certain way, and feel like the love that bestowed itself on you was earned, and that you were successful, and so you could still be taken care of and you could still contribute and you could still connect. Like that's all a misunderstanding, but that can be taught and perceived that way. So then it feels like, okay, this whole dance is worth it. It's beneficial. It's benevolent. But underneath of it, there's always this nagging sense of like more, or less, like never quite at ease. And the ebbs and flows of life and the turbulence of life can pull us into these very clearly, no, that's not me. I'm failing. I'm not the happy one right now. I'm feeling really angry or sad. Like, oh my God, I'm failing at this role. Like, and then the family can kind of feel into that, and then there's a sense of maybe guilt or obligation. Like, that's not me. Oh my God. Like, because then there's the sense of me that's failing, the me, the one that can't do it. And then there's the suffering, because it's inevitable. We're never going to be that one. Here, there was a lot of, I've probably talked about this before, of this around being the nice one, the identity of the nice one. It's not that I'm not nice anymore, or kind, rather, or like attuned, gentle, like whatever qualities that nice, the identity of the nice one seems to loop in. It's not that any of those qualities are the problem, or even the identity of nice is the problem, but the suffering happens when that setup and that system of origin, that training of like what does a nice one look like and sound like and do and doesn't do. I get a lot of inquiries and questions around rejection, and not like an internalized sense of rejection, like in the awakening process, even in just the healing process of being a human. I don't care about your spiritual orientation, of like, man, I've done so much work. I've grown so much. I'm in such a better place now, but I don't belong. Intellectually, I know I belong, but inside, I'm rejecting myself. I'm setting myself up to be disliked by others. I sense that that's what they feel for me. I'm never gonna feel that sense of intrinsic, yes, me, this body, this being, as part of this social web of wherever I might step into, my church, my sangha, my library, my classroom, my doctor's office, like my family. I just know that in my bones, I'm always going to feel like an outsider or invisible or too much or too little. I'm not going to be liked. Nobody's going to like me. I don't even like me. And when it comes to other people, it's different if I'm alone, but when it comes to other people, like I'm not ever going to feel at ease. It's funny because it's it's a trap that believing around identity. Because even when we intellectually understand that that identity doesn't exist, then it shape shifts into the opposite identity of, oh, well, I'm not the nice one. Often we don't see that, the polarity of like, okay, I'm not the nice one anymore. But we don't see the identification with, but now who's me? Now I'm a failure in a different way. This is me, the failure, because I'm not the nice one, and then I, I must be this kind of assumed new identity, but we don't know the assumption is happening. I think an example could help um, in kind of trying to work with this like perpetual sense of rejection, because where this is going is that the rejection is true. Like, if I wasn't the nice one growing up, I wouldn't have belonged. Wouldn't have been fed. I wouldn't have stayed in the tribe. Like, that would have been bad. That the behavior would have a consequence. Doesn't mean that the nice one ever existed, but it does mean that not playing that role was very consequential and could still be. But we have to make a choice at a certain point of, where is my power right now? As a child, our power is very different. Our autonomy, our sense of awareness, our being, even the body is larger and stronger and capable and independent from its mother, its father, its unit. Can fend for itself in a different way. So where was I going with that? I mean, it's happening right now. I don't know if you can sense it as I'm talking. Life is just like and taking its course. And any agenda of like, okay, maybe the agenda is in some certain identity would be like me, the teacher, me, the one with information, needs to perform in a certain way to uphold this self. Like, that was never true. And without it, it's it's the sharing is happening. And that's what happens when we lose an identity and so let me go to my example and then kind of come back to me in my life and see if any of this is gonna be um, relatable for someone listening. It's like growing up, um, believing in a religious figure like the Easter Bunny, and not just believing in it, but being told like you have to be the Easter Bunny. Like, this is you. This is now who you are. And you're always going to be coming up short. But if you try hard enough, you might fake it. If you believe hard enough, other people will believe your confidence in the belief. So your ears might be just a little bit too short, your tail's not fluffy enough, your eggs aren't full enough in the basket, like you're not hopping, you're human. Like, what, are you kidding me? But like, you keep trying, you keep kind of pulling on your ears, you keep dressing the part, and you believe it, you act your heart out, and people buy it. And there's a certain complacency that happens. Uh, it doesn't make any ripples. It doesn't rock the boat. Easter happens, and you can take some credit for some aspect of it. But then someday you just you hit a bottom and you realize that you're done. You just can't act anymore. It just happens. It's not even your control. It's something in your environment or in your body or in your psyche or everything, or your family, your religion, whatever. Like, you're just done. You can't act anymore, and it's so clear that I'm not the Easter Bunny. I could never be the Easter Bunny. You don't have to be the Easter Bunny. You don't have to be anymore. And it's uncomfortable to kind of drop that act because you're not used to it. And you're not seen in the same way anymore, but you're still seen. You're not invisible. People see you. You see yourself in a whole new light. And the holidays come and go without the act. You realize, like, that was never my control. And so here, this similar kind of identification, this is coming back to like not belonging, feeling rejected, feeling like I'm never gonna fit in. Like here, when the sense of being the nice one, that suit fell off, just like the Easter Bunny. There was a fear of not being seen, not being accepted, being useless, being upsetting, which in some ways is true to other people, but not not in the way that I thought, not in the way that I can even explain. But in a way that without these false suits, the rabbit suit, the smiley suit, the black sheep suit, whatever your suit is, you don't have to be liked or even noticed to feel your power, to feel your autonomy, to feel the inspiration, feel the depths of your being, to feel the force of life, and not just in like a one polarity of like muscular, powerful, healthy, beautiful, blissful, like blue, brilliant skies, like whatever. Like I'm talking about like the unconditional power of life, like even on your deathbed, the physical, like as you're dying, the power of life is felt, and each shade of false identity, the Easter Bunny, the smiley one, the successful one, the young one, the old one, the one that doesn't take up much space, the one that is dumb, the one like, I mean, there's a suit for anything that helps you avoid what's really here, which is dynamic and is a sense of power when we're not constricted to one certain thing. That when that can shut off, we realize that what hurts about rejection, about not fitting in, is not actually about other people. It's not actually about their opinions of us. Because people will dislike you. People will love you. People will worship you. People will humiliate you. People will objectify you. People will do anything. So playing the role of whatever it is to belong has nothing to do with anybody else. It's about survival and safety and feeling connected with others. But you can connect with others without their approval. I promise you. It's not going to feel the way connection feels when someone's praising you or approving you or telling you you fit in, you're the best. But if you really check in, does that approval satisfy? The next day when you wake up and you're craving more of it, it's insatiable. That kind of approval. So really, in a certain sense, like the rejection, like feel it. Feel it, that I'm not the nice one anymore and that I don't belong to that role anymore. and that everything that gets projected of being pushed out, being humiliated, being belittled, being feeling worthless, if you can keep opening to it in a safe way, not in a unsupported, like if you need someone to support you in this, or if you trust your own capacity to be in it, like whatever way you can get to just feeling the truth of rejection. Like, I don't belong. I don't belong because I'm not that person or bunny or whatever. Grieve it. Feel the hurt. And watch as it changes. Like, when we're really in truth, it's going to transform anything that's stuck. And I'm not going to say that that's going to transform into something like bright and beautiful, but it's going to deepen into something more and more true. It's going to deepen into strength and authenticity and value of life. In the way that, like, a mountain is just over time, like, stronger and stronger and stronger, and everything it withstands. And that's kind of misleading because the mountain has always been there. It's not really stronger, but its strength is revealed as it also changes form.